Yeah. Everybody, y'all ready for this one? It's Unk and Few Football. Hey, man, this is our Sunday ritual, man. This is our
Yeah.
Sunday ritual. Unk, talk to him. How you doing this wonderful cold morning? A little bit.
Yeah, it is a little bit colder, huh? Like November finally decided, yo, it's time, right? But
Right.
like even still, we had a gorgeous day yesterday. It was just like, 1 degree with a wind out of the north, right? So
hmm it's crazy how we're expecting a lot of snow coming up here on our end for the whole week, right?
yeah.
And it's kind of weird because we had the opposite most of last week or last month, rain, some sunny days, but it's weird. It's weird how it all hits at once. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
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 man.
yeah. Interesting. That's an interesting segue into our first topic, right? The trade
Oh,
deadline. Nothing,
oh.
nothing, nothing, nothing. Then suddenly everything all at once. Weather can be like that too. Seasonal change can be like that also.
Straight up. Everybody smash that like button. If you're watching the replay, you're watching us live. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, vibing with us. We got to talk about it, man.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah, we do.
Sauce Gardner, the sauce. If you have been living under a rock, I believe Sauce is playing right now.
Yeah, I
Because
think
right now we
so.
have a Germany game, the Colts versus the Atlanta Hawks, which is, by the way, don't even get me started talking about the Hawks. But let's talk about first the first topic, which is the trade. Sauce trade, yes. Mr. Sauce Gardner, I think 23 years old, young guy, being traded to basically the best team in the league, the
Yeah.
Falcons. I'm gonna get the trade details. Unc, what were your initial thoughts when you saw that move, man? You know what I mean?
Well, the Indianapolis Colts are clearly going all in. That was my first thought. Is like that was a
Wow.
big trade, but it was also a
Yeah.
necessary trade, right? After what we saw last weekend with against Pittsburgh, clearly the one weakness on the Indianapolis Colts is their secondary, and Sauce Gardner is one player, but he, like you noted, he's a young player. I think he's 25.
25,
But
my mistake. Yes, you're right.
but
You're right. He's
he's
25.
under contract until 2030. They've just extended him, right? But those
Oh,
wily New
yeah.
York Jets, I did not know they had it in them. They're only responsible. It was $120 million contract that they just signed for him. So for 4 years, whatever, taking him up till he's 30 years old. Right? Nice,
Right.
right? Good stuff. Why would
Yeah.
you consider trading this guy? Well, those wily New York
Mhm.
Jets, they just know their own history. And for once, they're being intelligent. They're only responsible for about less than $14 million of that 120. That's their cap hit, right? And
Oh.
and it can be amortized over those 4 years. So it's really nothing, right? So like
Mm.
those Jets decided to engineer a very what they called a tradable contract. And that's exactly what
Mm.
they did, man. They extracted maximum value for Sauce Gardner. They made a decision on the season and on the future yet again. The New
Right.
York Jets, right? This is what they do, right? How long ago
Right.
was it when it was Daryl Revis that we were talking about in this way, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
so the
Mhm.
Jets have done that. They've traded for maximum value. They got 2 first-round draft picks, plus
Okay.
Adonai Mitchell, right? A wide receiver that was buried on the Indianapolis wide receiver chart, right? He's not getting a lot of action, but he's actually a pretty good receiver. And the
Mhm.
Jets need help at receiver, even though Myles Garrett has finally returned. Nevertheless, he was like the only reliable option in that defense or in that offense for the New York Jets. So that helps them right away now, and they get
Yeah.
they get 2 first-round draft picks. So that's a pretty good day at the office for the Jets, and it even gets better from there.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna touch on that. And like you said, they got two first round picks for Sauce and Adonai Mitchell. If y'all don't know who Adonai Mitchell is, pretty talented receiver, but he was not getting a lot of touches or getting a lot of love
Right.
from the
And
Colts. So they got some value, definitely the wide receiver position, which they
and let
need.
me
And
let me
I'm
just
telling you, the
note
Jets
too.
are in rebuild mode right now. Yeah.
Let me just note briefly too, right? For the people who
Mhm.
are out there saying that Indy overpaid, let it be noted that in 2019, LA gave 2 first-round draft picks for Jalen Ramsey, right? So it's not
Mm.
unheard of. It's not unheard of.
Absolutely. And think about it like this: the defense, unfortunately for the Jets, let's keep it real, has underperformed.
Very
I'm just
much.
gonna keep it real. If you look at that Jets defense, I think when they got rid of Robert Saleh and even a little bit before Saleh, you saw that defense ain't what it used to be, right? And that's
Sala,
what I think they
Sala,
said.
Sala, Sala was the sauce. Pardon the pun, right? That's considering that we're
Yeah,
talking about Sauce Gardner here, but no, Sala was the key behind that defense. Oh, for sure.
absolutely. And when they gave the keys, the quote unquote keys to Aaron Rodgers, that defense just didn't look the same. The motivation wasn't there. And that leads us to talk about another subject, another move, which I think this might have been even more impactful. By the way, y'all smash that like button if you're coming in the building. Appreciate y'all for sliding. Quinnen Williams getting traded to the Cowboys. Yes, the Jets were like, "Hey, we doing a fire sale, bro.
Yep.
Everything has to go." I'm surprised his brother didn't go because his brother was in trade rumors. They give him up to the Cowboys in exchange for Mozzie Smith, a second round pick next season in the 2026, and a conditional. Basically, Cowboys or Packers first round pick in 2027. So basically, a, a second and a first, right, and another player, Mozzie Smith. I'm gonna be real with you. I have not said this in a long time. The Jets did really well. This was a
Yeah.
good job by the Jets. Giving, I'm gonna give credit to their GM Darren Muge, how you say it. He's
Yep.
new there. I think he came in with Aaron Glenn. Hey
Yes.
man, for a 1-7 team, I kind of like what they're doing right now, man. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, this is absolutely what the Jets need to do, right? You're 1-7. Yeah, I'd say your defense underperformed or is currently underperforming. Like, yeah, no,
Really?
this is precisely what they need to do. And here's the
Yeah.
kicker. Like you said, conditional first round pick. Here's the condition, right? From what I heard, is that Dallas
Yeah.
has to give up their best. Dallas has 2 first round picks in 2027, and Dallas has
Right.
committed to give up the best of those 2 first round picks. Right? That's the condition, right? So
Okay.
if Dallas tanks next year, if Dallas performs really poorly, the Jets are going to
Right.
have a pretty spanky looking another spanky looking number 1 pick. So yeah, the Jets come
Mm.
out of these 2 moves with 4 draft picks,
Yes, I
3 of
do.
them number 1s at least, I think, and 2 players that they can use right now. So, you
Yes.
know, on a
Yes.
wasted
Yes.
season, it doesn't matter. They can tool around with it. So I think the Jets did very well here. It's just unfortunate the circumstances under which they had to do this. But
Right.
let's talk about Dallas here for a second, because Dallas once
Let's go
again
to Dallas.
proving their mettle. Um,
Cool.
like they basically completed the Mika Parsons trade because they traded away that first
Yeah.
rounder that they got for him. And what did they
Yeah.
get in return? They got Quinn. So it's basically Mika Parsons for Quinn and Mitchell. That's the trade.
That's
Sound
basically yeah.
sound like a good trade to you?
No. No, it's not. No, it's not. I don't think it's a good trade. By the way, shout out to Anthony in the chat. Jerry Jones is a clown. Now, look, let me say this. What I didn't like though is when the Jets, so not the Jets, my bad, the Cowboys got Logan Wilson from the Bengals. When that happened, I was like, what the hell is going on here? By the way, Logan Wilson, he played for the Bengals, and
Yeah.
he actually got benched. Let me repeat. He got benched within the last 2 weeks for a younger linebacker on the Bengals. Now, I want y'all to keep this in mind because the Bengals had one of the most pathetic performances on defense last week when they lost to the Chicago Bears.
That
But
was a
he was
fun
part of this
game.
defense. You
That was
understand what I'm saying? We're gonna talk
crazy
about
good.
that in a little bit. So they got a washed linebacker from the Bengals. I didn't get it. I did not get it.
Well,
Now,
this
go ahead.
to me, the most hilarious thing, especially with this
Mhm.
Quinion Williams trade this week, right?
Yes.
They just finished losing and going to 3-5-1 on Monday
Mm.
night. What are they
Yes.
trying to do in Dallas? Why are you trying to like salvage the season? Why are you trying to improve your defense? It's obvious that you're going nowhere fast, and that was
Right.
proven
Right.
on Monday night. And yet you still gave away another first round draft pick for fucking Quinn Williams.
I'm like, and then for me, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I understand Sauce going for two firsts, right? But essentially, what you did is you gave the Jets two firsts for Quentin Williams, and I'm gonna say
Right?
this: Quentin Williams is not that guy, man. He's serviceable, he's good,
He's
he's not
he's
that guy.
well,
He's
and
not
he's
a run
gonna
stopper, bro. It was not a good move. I did
he
not
was
like it.
gonna be really happy, like going to a new
Yeah,
team regardless.
right.
Because like remember this is a guy who came from Alabama and now has spent what
Mhm.
9 crushing years in the New York Jets
In the
ecosystem, right?
Jets,
Right.
yes,
So
yes.
yeah, he's happy as spit, man. Like he is one happy camper going to Dallas. He don't care what happens in Dallas, right? He does not care. He's just out of the Jets, right? So all of this stuff
Yeah.
is great for QM over there, but why Dallas actually chose to do that is beyond me. Like to me, I mean,
I'm saying like this: the Jets, you pulled highway robbery. You found an idiot. You found a sucker because a sucker is born every minute, or a
yeah,
sucker is old every minute, like Jerry Jones. How do you give two first? But let me tell you this:
and
I
and
don't see
just
a
the
lot of.
reasons. Like after
Go ahead.
losing Monday night, they should have been in a fire sale of their own.
They should have done. Actually, you're making a good point. When you see how the division is looking, and you let the Cardinals whoop on you, we're gonna talk about that in a
At
minute.
home,
At home, and you get
and it wasn't
embarrassed national.
close.
It wasn't national TV. You get embarrassed. You
But
should
we'll talk about
actually.
that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. You should go the opposite way. The Jets understand what their season is. They said it's over. They said,
Yep.
okay, the rebuild starts today. That's what the Jets decided. And
Yeah.
they are projecting, which is, I think, intelligent in my mind, right? So the Colts said, hey, we are contenders. We're going to go all in, put the chips in, we're going to get sauce. Cowboys, what are you doing? You're in a limbo period where
There's
you know
nothing
you cannot beat the
identifiable.
Eagles. You can't beat the Eagles, so you're probably not getting into the playoffs. So it's fire sale time, dog. I'm not saying quitting, but I'm saying you don't have to put the gas on the metal on the gas to pick up a guy who was just benched,
Right.
and the dude who has one sack. Quinton Williams has one sack, and as a run stopper, he's okay. But you need more than one stopping on the Cowboys defense. You need DBs who aren't getting juked out by Marvin Harrison the third. Getting juked out, man. On the line of scrimmage.
Look,
Do you see that play? Crazy.
this trade might have made sense last week, but
Yes.
after Monday, like that's just foolish, right? Because I mean,
Correct.
let and take a look at it, right? I mean, there's going to
Mhm.
be probably maybe even two possible teams, for those wild card spots coming out of
Yeah.
the AFC West, right? So
Right, right,
the
right.
like or not, or pardon me, the AFC
NFC,
NFC
NFC
West,
West.
right? Right.
Yeah.
So the
Seahawks for sure.
likelihood of Dallas taking one of those three spots, seems
No.
highly unlikely, given how the NFC North is also performing. Like there's no place for
North of the
Dallas in the
two.
playoffs after Monday night. Just that's it. And then that dumb
Right.
tie, right? Like yeah. So they were not making the
Yeah.
playoffs. So for them to have executed this trade to me seems highly questionable.
Absolutely. By the way, Anthony in the chat, I appreciate you commenting. The offense looks keeps them fooled, even though they're good. They are a good choking team with these valuable assets.
Yep.
They are their offense. I'm gonna give the Cowboys this. The offense is looking absolutely amazing. They didn't look amazing last week. We're gonna talk about that a bit later.
The,
But
the
when you're
Bengals
talking about
South.
a defense, you need a defense who can stop a nosebleed, and we're gonna talk about that a bit later. The other trades that I want to talk about just quickly, Rashid Shaheed going to the Seahawks. I think that was a great move. Seahawks are doing like the Colts, they're going
Yeah.
all in. It was for a 2026 first round and a fifth rounder. I don't mind it. Rashid Shaheed gives them a vertical threat. We have Jacoby Myers to I think the Jaguars.
Jaguars.
That's for the first round and the sixth. I think the Jags are good for that. Then there was like a defensive end who went to Chicago, Joe Tyson Shkomi. I don't really know this individual. Other than that, nothing huge splashed in my mind coming out of the trade deadline that I want to really mention. Most teams made subtle, smaller moves, you know what I mean, to shore up their teams. But those are the two big ones really wanted to touch on. The Jets being on a fire sale, which I think is a very intelligent move because they see, hey man, this season ain't it. Let's hit the eject button. The Cowboys continuing to prove that they're incompetent. Um, the Seahawks going all in and the Colts going all in. Pretty eventful trade deadline to say the least.
Well,
Usually you don't see that type of movement on the
Well,
trade
it's
deadline.
I mean the
Mhm.
deadline's passed now, but as far as
Right,
the whole New York situation is concerned in general, I mean there are no cows, sacred cows over there at all. Aaron
right.
Glenn this week referenced
Mm,
his time with the Jets when Bill Parcells was the coach, and
mhm.
he referenced something that was said to him back in '95, 30 years ago. And Bill Parcells apparently told him, "I'd trade my wife for the right price." Right? So
Oh.
no one, trust me, man. When your head
Yep,
coach grew up like that, with reference
correct.
points like that, nobody's safe, man.
I mean,
But
think about how Aaron Glenn even started his tenure as a Jets. His first move was getting rid of
as a
Aaron Rodgers
quarterback,
as a quarterback. And let me tell you something like this. Aaron is looking amazing this season. We're gonna touch on that a bit later.
yeah,
Amazing this season, guys. I'm telling you. You know what I mean? And keep in mind, they almost got rid of Brees Hall. By the way, thanks Anthony in the chat for mentioning that
there
Brees
was,
Hall was going to be a Kansas City Chief,
yeah,
but the Jets said, "Hell nah." When they were about
yeah,
to
there
get
was.
a haul for him. Go ahead.
I heard that chatter too. I'm actually
Yes.
surprised they had any restraint whatsoever, to be honest with you, where Brees Hall is concerned. But yeah, no, wouldn't if he looked good in a Chiefs uniform? Oh my goodness, Chiefs
Oh
probably would have been
man.
over.
Oh man. It would have been more over than it already was because the Chiefs, hey man, they are. When I say they're in the mix, brother, they are in the. We're gonna talk about that a bit
Yeah,
later. By the way, thank you, Anthony, for being in the chat, man, and interacting with us. We like that. We like that. But before we get to that topic, I really, really want to touch on the end of Kyler Murray and
yeah.
the start of the Jacoby Brissett era. What the hell am I talking? I'm talking
Well,
about, yes, 27 points to 17 Dallas Cowboys. They lost, but this was in a particular game. You know why? Because a lot of people, including myself, I had the Cowboys potentially winning this. They were playing at home,
me
tight
too.
game. The Cards are 2-5 coming into Dallas. Cowboys 3-4. They could have gotten base close to 500, but within the first 2-3 drives, it was pretty obvious. The Cardinals are a better team. They are
Yeah.
the better team, bruh. And Jacoby Brissett led the charge with 260 yards, two passing touchdowns, and a basically a tush push into the end zone.
Yeah.
And Marvin Harrison Jr., I think this might have been his best game. 7 reception, 96 yards. Man, what the hell is going on in Big D? What the hell's going on in AZ? Tell them, Moss.
Well, this is just it, right? Like you will not see. Let me just get this out right away. You will not see Kyler Murray in a Arizona Cardinals uniform again. Of that, I'm pretty confident. They put him on IR for basically a hangnail. Like he's not super injured, but they put him on IR, which means he's out mandatory at least 4 weeks, right? So that's what, week
Yeah.
14, right? So that if that is your game plan, that you intend to trade him in the off season or just cut his contract and eat it like they did in Denver with Russell Wilson. Like if they're
Right.
gonna just if they're just gonna fish and cut bait or whatever it is, it's like you can't put him on the field again because what if he gets injured in week 16 or 17 in some nothing game, and now it's like you
Yeah.
have to keep
You
him,
lose
right?
your
And
trade value. Yep.
you right,
Trade
so
value.
he's done,
Mm-hmm.
he's finished, right? And they've got the perfect fill-in guy, right? The backup,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Because when you've got a black quarterback, you got to have like a black backup. Otherwise, you spend the whole season like fending off calls to put him in, right?
Facts.
So let's give this overvalued guy a shot because the black quarterback
Right.
is just not working out, right? It's like no. So, but it was a funny situation because like for the first time in black quarterback history, like you had like people clamoring for the backup
Mm.
blackup quarterback to go
Oh
in the same way
snap!
they would be clamoring for like the
Oh,
middle grade travel,
Yeah,
journeyman quarterback. Yeah, it's funny. But
yeah,
Monty Jones and Dominique Foxworth were having quite the time talking about the phenomena, and how this was absolutely unique. But
yeah,
that is the situation. So, and here's the kicker, right? Here's the kicker. Jacoby Brissett makes
right.
$7.2 million. So sitting
Yes,
Kyler Murray, even though they just extended him too, right? He's got a whole
right.
new contract and whatnot. 57 million of which is like they're still on the hook for. So not doing as
Yes, they have
efficient
to
a
pay him.
job as
They
New
have to pay
York
him a lot
Jets,
of money. Yeah,
right? Unlike the Jets with Sauce Gardner, right? They're on the hook for 14 mil. That's it, right? Because they foresaw a day. But
right.
Kyler Murray, no, AZ's on the hook for 57 million. So they definitely want him to trade him to a partner who's going to participate with them in eating some of that money and all that type of thing,
Yeah,
right? But he's
yeah,
finished. He's done because Jacoby Brissett is only getting paid $7 million, right?
yes,
So they can just
yeah,
roll the dice with him, injured, not injured, wins the Super Bowl, who knows, whatever. It's all house money at $7 million, right? He's the ultimate
right.
backup. They could keep him in place until they draft another one, right? Like,
Yes,
just
yes,
keep trotting him out there because at $7 million and that type of performance, by the way, which is not guaranteed to continue, but is very serviceable and functional for now, gives
yes.
AZ options. They're using them.
And think about it like this, man. Kyler Murray has only taken the Arizona Cardinals to the playoffs once, and it was a horrible loss. I think they played Green Bay or something like that. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you right now, in terms of the value and the production, a lot of quarterbacks are getting paid a lot of money and it doesn't produce. One person who I think is going to be a really, really tight, I think this is going to happen to him very soon unless he really performs, is Trevor Lawrence, man. Unfortunately,
Well,
unless
yeah,
he does something, he's going to be on a proverbial hot seat too because Kyler, unfortunately, he has underperformed as a number one overall draft pick. And if you are being outplayed by your backup, the
yeah.
Brissett, you know what I mean? That ain't it, bro. And
Here,
you're not even on the field to compete. You feel me?
here's the deal. Here's the deal. Trevor
Mm,
Lawrence
yeah.
is more physically gifted. He's taller, all that type of
Mm,
thing. So he's
yeah.
going to be on a bit of a longer leash. Kyler Murray has two things going against him. He's basically Doug Flutie, is really who he is. He's not a big,
Fair point.
tall guy, right? He's
Right,
generously
right,
listed
right.
at 5'11". He's probably like 5'10" and a quarter, which is a little taller than Flutie, but not by much, right?
Yeah.
And he has it compensated by being like a devastating Michael Vick type of mobile quarterback, right?
Facts.
So he's, and on top of that too, I hear that the guy just isn't really that well liked, right? That he's kind of a,
Really? Is that what it is?
yeah, yeah, that's it, right? Like no one's gonna miss
Mm,
him if he goes, which again makes it kind of mysterious why they re-signed him. But yeah,
yeah.
they're willing to do a move like this, trade him, get rid of him, etc. Because at the end of the day,
Mm,
not super productive, like just mediocre production, not well
yeah.
liked in the. Like, I'm not saying not well liked, but he's just like, okay, he's got that clause in there, for example, saying that he has to
The
watch
video
film,
game. Yes, yeah.
right? If your franchise
Oh.
stipulates that you must watch film, if they actually put that in your contract, like there's something
Mm,
about you that their spirit doesn't take to you. They don't feel like they're getting everything from you. They don't feel like you're trying your best. And that is a cancerous toxin in any locker room. Because if management feels that way about you, think about the other guys on your team.
that's a fair point, man. There were even rumors that the man should consider going into baseball because he was a top five pick in the MLB draft 7, 8 years ago. But I'm
He,
thinking he's gonna play football. Let's not get ridiculous here. There's gonna be a team that's gonna pay him. But my thing is, brother, you have to produce, man. I'm
yeah.
not saying the Cardinals are like the Cards are some elevated, amazing team with great coaching, everything. But brother,
No, but
you're a
they're
number one
respectable.
overall pick. You're a number one overall pick,
Well,
and
and they,
you're getting outplayed
yeah,
by Brissett. What are we doing
yeah.
here, man? What are we
Exactly.
doing?
Exactly.
You
You
know?
weren't signed for $120 million to be outperformed by a guy making like freaking not even like barely
Yeah.
half of 10%, like barely 5% of that. Right. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's very disappointing for Kyler Murray. They expected more from him. but they're now
Yeah.
going to try to maximize his value on the way out the door. Because yeah,
Mm,
at the end of the day, right, like not being super well liked and not really producing that much. See, the thing with Doug Flutie is that no matter whatever highs and lows he had, he was always a super locker room guy. And Trevor Lawrence, as we've noted, is physically, like, you're never going to lose those tools, right? You never stop being 6'2", and
right, right.
you know what I mean. Like Trevor Lawrence is very
Yeah,
physically
that's
gifted
true.
to play quarterback.
That's a
So,
fact.
but Kyler Murray was supposed to be the guy that overperforms, and he hasn't.
Mm. This is something that we really need to talk about slightly, and it links to this whole topic right now. When we talk about performances, right, and being clutch and being the value of your actual contract, living up to that contract, a lot of people are not living up to that contract. By the way, let's hear Anthony in the chat again. Kyler is not appreciated in Arizona. Hey, man, maybe he didn't appreciate Arizona. Maybe it's both ways. You know what I mean? And Anthony says, still time to make a career in the MLB, though. I don't know about all that, but I know that Kyler was really good in baseball. He's a good hitter, and obviously his speed. I don't know if he could do all that. I think here's the thing: what kind of passion does he have for football? If they have to put on his contract, you have to
Right,
read like what? Like, do you
right.
even like the game? I don't know,
And
man. You know what I
well,
mean?
and he's kind of like in Jamarcus Russell territory right now, right? It's like, y'all don't
Right.
want me, whatever, man. I got $60 million due to me over the next 3 years, right? I'll just
Yeah,
hang
I'm
out.
still getting paid. I
I'll
could be
just,
on the
I'll
field
just,
or not.
I'll
It's
just hang
coming.
out over here, and you guys talk amongst yourselves. I'll just keep cashing those paychecks. It's like,
That's a
because you're
fact.
right. I don't know what his commitment is. I cannot think of
No,
any moment where I've seen Kyler Murray and I said, man, that man just loves football.
no. And the thing here's the thing. I think their coach there in Arizona, he's kind of on a mini hot seat as well.
Oh man,
Gannon, yeah, he's on a
Gannon,
mini
let
hot
me tell
seat
you
too.
Gannon's quote. If you want to
Yeah,
know just how done
mm,
Kyler Murray is, listen to this quote
God,
he had. I
what do you
like where
say?
we're at right now with the offense moving forward. Like, okay, that statement
Yep.
on itself, right? We're moving forward without him. I like where we're at right now. Well, that's one statement. But try to imagine if he
Right.
said it, because I don't know. I didn't hear the
Mm,
statement. I don't know where which emphasis was on which syllable. You know what I'm saying, right? But can you
yeah, yeah,
imagine if you meant it like this? I like where we're at right now with the offense moving forward, meaning like at least finally we're moving forward on the field.
Oh
Because you're right.
man,
Marvin
yeah,
Harrison Jr. isn't looking like a wishy-washy bust right now. One week he's catching like 3 for 30 and zeros across the board.
yeah,
Next week he's getting freaking 7 for 96 and a TD. That's what you came to
yes.
Arizona to do, right? And it's happening with freaking Jacoby Brissett, not Kyler Murray. And that's
And
got to
keep
be
in mind,
telling.
his pop said on media, "Yo, what are we doing, man? You have a top 4 NFL pick, and he's not getting your pops." And you know what? I'm gonna be real. I think Marvin, the junior, was speaking to senior, and then senior did the dirty work. I think that's what
I
happened,
bet
bro.
that sounds
I
about
think
right.
that's what happened, brother. Yeah, because he went to
They're a
the
very
yeah,
organized family that way. They're definitely
straight up.
they're definitely strategic thinkers over there in the Lewis
Oh,
family.
oh yeah. Let me tell you this, man. Let's go on the other side of the coin. Uh, Dak Prescott, what are we doing, man? What are we doing? Dak Prescott and the Cowboys offense, 250 garbage yards, one touchdown, one horrible interception. He was pressing because that defense, I'm talking about the Cowboys defense, could not stop a nosebleed. We're going to talk about the Bengals a bit later, but that defense could not stop nothing, which forced
Yeah.
Dak to be desperate. And this is what's happening. Dak went from giving MVP level performances to keep his team in games. Now it's getting desperate because he has to go all out to win. Unc, what are your quick thoughts about how the Dallas season is going? It's very weird, man. It's
Like,
weird, dog.
like
You
I
know what I mean?
said, like they're Bengals
Mm,
South, basically. They
yeah,
absolutely remind me of a Cincinnati Bengals season, right? One week they look like world beaters, the next week they look like, they have no defense, right? Even though the week
Mhm.
before when they looked like world beaters, like they had no defense either, right? Because they were, winning the game 45-41 or something, right? But the point is, the
Right.
consistent factor is that the Dallas defense hasn't been that great. So, yeah. And
Mhm.
in this game, like it should be noted, right, that
Right.
Arizona was in charge of this game from right from the outset, right? The closest
Yes.
I think they ended up getting was oh, whatever. I don't have it in front of me right now. I thought I do, but it's buried in my notes. But anyways, like the scoreboard makes it look closer than it was. That basically Arizona stopped putting points on the board when it was 27-10 at the end of the third quarter, right? The game was done,
Yes.
right? Same
They
thing
they had a
happened. It's
garbage Dallas had a garbage time touchdown
right.
that made it
But
look
the
close. It was
main
over in the
difference,
third. Yeah.
if you look at the offensive stats for the team stats, like it's remarkable how similar these two games were, actually, how evenly matched they were. There's only one real
Yes.
difference, and that was the turnovers, right?
Thank
Fumbles
you.
and
Thank
Dak
you.
interceptions, right? Whereas Arizona had a clean sheet on that. Both teams allowed their quarterback to get sacked 5 times, right? So
Yes, man.
Arizona's a better team. If you look at the points for the points
Yes.
against, their win loss record's only 3-5 now. But if you look, they've actually got like a positive points for, points against. It's not much. It's like single digits. But
Right.
the same way we say certain 6-3 teams like San Francisco, for example, are kind of fraudulent, kind of creaky because they're points for, points against. We said the same thing about Tampa Bay. It's kind of
Right.
more what you'd see from a 500 team or a team like Arizona. Arizona is 3-5, but their points for, points against is actually a positive number. So that means that they've lost a few squeaker games. They've had some bad luck. They probably
Yes.
should be 4-4 or 5-3. But that just goes to show you, like, and they're the worst team in their division, unfortunately, right? But like,
Yes. Yes.
they're better than about half of the other teams in the league, I would wager.
Absolutely. There was some crazy stat that the Cards had lost their 4 or 5 games by like 10 points. Like it's 10-point
Yeah,
margin of difference. So they're in almost every game. It's just
yeah.
that it doesn't flip on their side at the end when it's hit 0-0 on the clock, which means that they're competitive. I think they're gonna cause some nightmare scenarios at the end of
Down
the
the
season
stretch.
for the Seahawks, for the Niners and the Rams. I think they're gonna win some games and put the playoffs upside their head. So just keeping that in mind as we move
Like
forward
they
this
they
season,
might
man.
be one of
Yeah,
those teams that has a better record than Dallas that keeps them out of the playoffs. You see what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Like
Oh, they could do that. Yes, you're right.
if I was to wager between
Fair
these
point.
two teams, which of these 3-5 teams could realistically make the playoffs, I would choose Arizona every time, right? Because I
Yes,
see more
fair point.
losses for Dallas, and I see Arizona eventually prevailing, right? Because like this is the next thing,
Mhm.
right? DeMarcado ran for like almost 100
Yes,
yards on like they dominated the run game. So like it was a great win all around for Arizona on the road.
yes,
Impressive. And I thought that
yes.
Dallas would at least match them in points, but no, right? So
Not
Dallas,
at
I
all.
think Dallas is a fraud. Arizona's having tough luck.
Absolutely, and let me tell you this: we didn't. I should have started the show on this, but we'll give this moment right now, talking about the Dallas Cowboys, the sad passing away of
Oh
Marshawn
yeah,
Kneeland. So just to say this, guys, mental health is no joke, man. We love the game of football, but you could be a multi-millionaire, scored a touchdown a few weeks ago, and still have things going on. At least from
yep.
my background and what I heard. I'm not going to get into all the details. His mother had passed a few years ago, and that had still been affecting him. Guys, check in
So
on your
young,
people, be
right?
kind, show love. You know what I mean? You
It's
never know what people are going through.
this
Passed away at
man was
24 years old. Sad.
24 years old, and yes, like
Right.
there was obviously personal issues, but I didn't know about the mother passing, but that makes sense, right? So yeah,
Yes.
can you imagine like the internal loneliness of that man if he didn't have the proper channels, all that money, probably lives in a big old house, but he's sad, right? So
Yes, sir.
that's a dangerous situation. So yes, yeah, always check in on your loved ones.
Absolutely, man. Rest in peace. One thing that kind of shocked me, I'm just gonna keep it real with you, is the Chiefs. I'm not gonna say rest in peace to them because they
I
are
know.
competitive. They are very competitive. On paper, you look at the 5-3, Buffalo Bills. You're like, okay, they're going to take this, okay, but god damn, they had to fight to win that game. I'm talking about the game of the week, quote unquote of the week. I have another game that I think was the game of the week. We'll talk
I was gonna
about that a
say.
bit later. But clearly the Chiefs were not there to play when they lost 28-21. And I think it was super, super close. Unc, what did you think of this potential playoff review? Because it's become basically a yearly tradition, man. These guys go against each other. The Chiefs losing 28-21 in a hyper competitive game. They look like they could have won that, man. Go ahead. Mm.
Yeah, well, I'm going to actually push back on this a little bit because,
I like that. Okay. I like a little put. Yeah.
yeah,
Go ahead. Mm.
because the Bills at home had a solid win, and yes,
Right.
the Chiefs always make you feel because of the way they play, because of their history. You always like you're never satisfied until the final gun goes off at the end of the fourth quarter, right? But if you
Correct.
look at the stats on that game, and if you look at the
Mm.
flow of the game, Buffalo actually dominated that game. Even though it's hard to
Mm.
look like you're dominating the Chiefs, which is I think what you're getting at here. But if
Yes,
you,
yes.
I'm going to go through some stats here with you. So
Sure.
yeah, Bills at home against KC. Okay, so here's how it goes. KC takes the lead at 9:27 in the second quarter. They go ahead
Right.
10-7. Right, stage
Mm.
set. But 3 minutes later, Buffalo goes into the lead, but for good. Right, so here it is, 6 minutes left in
Yep.
before halftime, and Buffalo's leading the game. And
Right.
so they basically so they came into the third quarter and scored again, right?
Yes, I did.
So they're up by two scores, right? So here comes
Mhm.
KC in the fourth quarter at the 11-minute mark. They put up 8 points, right? Here we go. Oh shit, they got
Yeah.
the extra point. So now they're just here we go. Here comes KC, but it didn't
Yeah.
happen. Buffalo,
Yeah.
even with that soft run defense, surprisingly,
Correct.
Buffalo held down the fort for the next 11 minutes against KC. And if
Yes.
you and Josh Allen gave you a Phil Simms like performance, right? Phil Simms is famous
Mm.
for going for 22 for 24 in a game once.
Mm.
But here's Josh Allen went 23 for 26, only one TD, but zero
Mm.
picks, zero
Yes.
picks, and Mahomes couldn't say that. So, but
Mm.
he spread them out. It was ridiculous. He had 23 catches going to 10 receivers. Shakir and
Yeah.
Kincaid had 13 of those receptions, but just 7 and 6 respectively. Kincaid had
Mm.
101 yards. I'm guessing half of them were after the catch, right?
Straight up. Yeah. You played great. You played
Right?
fantastic.
So just
Yeah.
rumble stumble, right? For a deck. So like he wasn't really hitting anybody deep downfield and all, except like I think he did have two or three long shots, but they all went to one
Right.
offs. One guy here, one guy there, three different guys had like 20 plus yard receptions. So Josh
Yeah.
Allen was really quite masterful in using all his different assets. What I find really surprising is that KC did not capitalize on Buffalo's weak run game. That didn't make any sense to me at all. But but Mahomes went 15 for 34 for 250, zero touchdowns and one pick, right? So he
Yeah.
was clearly getting like harassed. They had the Buffalo receivers covered.
Mm.
So one more argument for me in favor of that. So yeah, there was a couple other things. Yeah, here the Bills were dominant. 35 minutes of time of possession plus
Right.
total yards. They also led the game in passing yards, running yards, yards per play, third down conversions, first down
Mm.
conversions. Like to me, this wasn't a close game, even though the Chiefs made it feel like it was. I think that if you really get granular on this game, you see how the Bills actually may have the edge over KC right now.
And that's the key that you said right now, though.
Right
That's
now.
my argument for the Chiefs is right now because we are in early November, end of October. Chiefs are still rolling, man. And keep in mind to
Yeah.
make it even this close, the stats that you said, which you're right, even just visually, the Bills look very dominant. But for it
But
to
it's
go
too.
basically
It was
to
a
a
real.
Hail Mary pass at the very end of the
Yeah,
game, where it was basically going to be that was going to be essentially the game winner because after they get the
if
no,
he
it would have been
made it.
tied.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
I
If
see
he
what you're
made it,
saying,
my
and
my
that's
the my thing is if you beat the Chiefs, you have to stomp them out. That's how I look at it. For you to fully destroy them,
yeah,
for them to have a chance for two shots at the end zone in the end of the game,
right.
that's I don't like that. And keep in mind, that's why I believe the Chiefs really wanted Brees Hall. Kareem Hunt, you're right. He should have got the ball a lot more. They should have used that run game.
Can you
But
imagine?
The Chiefs' biggest weakness is their run game. So if you
Can,
can cover their receivers, you can definitely stop them in a lot of ways.
that's
But let
right.
me tell you this: the Chiefs are for. I'm a more keep in mind, y'all. I'm not a Chiefs fan. Y'all know I'm a Baltimore guy. You know what time
Yeah,
it is.
yeah,
But I saw sparks in the Chiefs' offense and a bit of their defense that lead me. Hey man, you do not want to see this team to start
no.
January, man. You do
Best,
not want to see
best,
KC. Ooh,
best 5-4 team probably in recent history of any time for sure. Because
straight up.
this
Yeah.
game was a clash of the Titans. Like this has become an
Yes.
annual ritual, either in the playoffs or the regular season. These are two of the very best teams. Like system wise, institutionally, franchise wide in the AFC. And that game, you're right. Those two shots at the end, they did like this is what I'm saying. Even though the stat line
Yes.
says that the Bills shut them down for 11 minutes, right? The fact that they had two shots at the end of the game to tie it up, like that's how it is with the Chiefs. Like it's never over till it's really over. Until that clock
Thank
says
you.
0-0 in the fourth
Yeah.
quarter, you can never count out Mahomes.
Absolutely. And even on a bad game by Mahomes, he was helped by a lot of players. Rashi Rice. Man, I didn't
Yeah.
believe it at first, but now I'm a full believer. Once he comes into that offense, it opens up
Wow.
immensely.
Yeah.
Hollywood Brown has so much running lanes. Travis Kelsey, what the hell? Where's Kelsey coming from?
Well,
With
yeah.
every the Chiefs are. I've already said it before, but they are super back. You don't want to see them at the end of the season, and we're
Well,
gonna talk about a team that could stop them. Go ahead, Unc.
this show has always been a big fan of Rashi Rice. We noted him right
Yes,
away, right? Like I had
yes,
him
we did.
as a rookie on my fantasy team, and Rashi Rice is a player for sure. He's a
Oh yeah.
game changer. He's one of those handful of wide receivers that can change a game. Sorry. Anyway, sorry. Carry on.
Yeah, no problem. No, no, all good. As I'm saying right now, you see what they're gonna face within the month of November, going into December, divisional matchups. It's gonna be very interesting to watch. The Bills, even though they played great, sometimes I had my doubts about the Bills. Now, I will give the Bills this credit. The defense, especially Joey Bosa, really stepped up and made some plays, especially that defensive play to stop that touchdown. Mahomes is gonna do that Hail
Yes.
Mary. They ended so you know what? I'm not trying to give the Chiefs too much credit in the loss, but if you lose that way, I'd rather the team lose that way than lose in like another way. It gives the team hope. I'm talking about the Chiefs
Yeah.
here in order for them to compete in a
Sure.
very competitive AFC West, man. You know what I
Well,
mean?
Chiefs have
Yeah,
no reason to feel bad about losing to this Buffalo Bills team. They just don't.
correct. Correct, correct. And I'm telling you right now, man, we're gonna talk about I hate to say it. I'm gonna do a little audible, but I don't care. We're gonna do it, and I know you can roll with the punches. You're good at this. One of the most dog poop games I've ever watched in my life. I'm talking about the Broncos versus the Raiders. It was 10-7, literally the opposite of what we talked about just now. Every
Yep.
third down was horrible. Every run attempt was horrible. I literally traded for RJ Harvey on fantasy, and he is absolutely horrible. He had been going on a streak of scoring a touchdown almost every game. Geno Smith, absolutely horrible. Everything that we watched on that stage for Thursday night football was absolutely disgusting. Let's talk about it, and then we're gonna segue to a specific guy
Yeah.
that hey, he's the opposite of Jacoby Brissett. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Talk to us.
Man, well, we were going to bring up the Broncos
Yeah.
anyways. And of course, we were going to talk about Geno Smith as a specific topic. But yeah, when we do our top five, spoiler alert, yeah, the Broncos enter mine this week, right?
Mine
Just
too. Yeah.
simply because I'm slowly getting convinced by Sean Payton that defense is for real.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
this
sir.
is they've won. I think this is their third game they've won at least by less than 3 points, right? So
Yes.
yeah, the Broncos are really getting it done. They're frustrating teams on defense, and so
Mm,
whatever failings they're having in the offensive system, Sean Payton has a very specific offense that he wants to run, and he's slowly getting there.
yes.
Harvey, because in other weeks Harvey's looked great, right? Harvey
Fantastic.
has looked explosive, like he's sort
Mm,
of Sean Payton's guy type of
yeah.
thing. And but Dobbins has looked great too, right? So he like that's what
Dobbins.
Peyton's
Yes.
that's Peyton's system, right? He wants to have two solid running backs. He wants to have a risk-free passing game, and
Hmm.
Bo Nix is sort of giving him what he wants, but they're not getting a ton of points right now. I'm shocked
No.
that that the Raiders were able to hold them less than 20 points like that. What the hell, man? But I mean, that's Thursday night. Weird things happen on Thursday night games.
Straight up weird things happen on Thursday night games. And we got to talk about I'm saying it right now. The worst starting quarterback in the league. Him and Tua are battling it out. It's him and Tua. And you can maybe add
Sorry,
Justin
that was
Fields in the
funny.
mix. It's all good. You can
Him and
add
Tua
Justin
battling
Fields
it
in the
out.
mix. These are the worst starting quarterbacks in this league right now.
Mm,
And I'm gonna give Gino this credit. He was being a warrior about staying in the game around the end. I think he had some kind of leg injury. But also I think he did that because he knew Kenny Pickett was about to take his job in front of the entire world on Thursday night football because yes, Kenny Pickett is the backup. I think that's why Gino's still playing. But man, what is going on with this regression this season? We've talked about a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of players who were busts that have came back and had their careers reimagined, rejuvenated, and everything like that. But
yeah.
the regression of Geno Smith, bruh, we got to talk about it, Unc. What's going on? Is it really the offense is that bad? Is it the O line that bad, or is Gene? What's going on though? What's going on with the Raiders, fam?
I
Oh,
think this is genuinely one of these situations where you can tick the box that says all of the above, because it's
mm,
not just one thing. Although Gino is
right,
just not helping, man. He's like his quarterback rating is low. He's trying to squeeze the ball in. He's got
right,
significantly more interceptions than he does have touchdowns. But at the same time, like his O line has had injuries, and he's got
right,
two rookie receivers, right? And they just lost Jacoby Myers.
right.
So like, and the next thing too, of course, is that Genty has it's been adequate, but he hasn't given them the dominant running game that allows a guy like Gino to get into the rhythm that is necessary. Because Gino's a rhythm quarterback, right? He's
All
like
right.
Warren Moon or those kind of guys where like he's never gonna run. Like, well, not anymore anyways. When he was younger, maybe for both
Mm.
quarterbacks. But like he needs to get it. Like he's a pure pocket passer, which means he needs to get into a rhythm. But you can't get into a rhythm like that unless your O line is functioning and you're
Thank
giving your
you.
running back opportunities, right, to get
Thank
4 to 5 yards per carry consistently 30 times in the game, right? So
you.
now
Mm,
here's Gino feeling like he's got to do it all, which leads us to the low quarterback rating, squeezing the ball into tight windows. Like he's just playing.
mm,
It seems kind of desperate, but
yes.
like in the 4 game losing stretch that's now 5, like he was
Mm,
82 for 129, not the worst completion record, but only 5 TDs and 8 picks, right? He's got 12 picks on the
right.
year. It's a league high. Some are
Mm,
saying he's holding on to the ball too long, about three
yes.
seconds on average, which is a bit too long. Some
Yeah.
other people say he's staring down targets, right? So
Mm,
um, so the team's just bad, right? Like
yes.
they're
Yes.
like they're like 13 or something like that and 32 in their red zone conversions. So they're just not getting it done on offense on either the running game or the passing game. So it's not all Gino, but Gino isn't
Mm.
helping. You're not
No.
helping Gino.
No, it's really, really bad because he's a guy who he has a very strong division. I'm not gonna lie. The FC West, you have the
Yeah.
Broncos, Chargers, the Chiefs. We just talked about the Chiefs. You have a lot of teams who are gonna be either already in the playoffs. We're gonna talk about that one in a bit, and that some that are definitely gonna be in the wild card for sure, right? But at the same time, Pete Carroll is not putting him in position. You said about Genty. Genty had some moments throughout that game, but that O line is so bad, man. I feel so
Yeah.
bad for Genty because he can't find any holes. Anytime he touches the ball, there's three defenders in front of his face.
He's
You know what
getting
I
gang
mean? And it's
tackled.
like, damn, that does not make it easier for Gino. And at the same time, was that Pro Bowl season a mirage? Because if you look at Gino's career, he has not been super dominant, man. So is he regressing back to the mean, or is it just the situation? It could be both for him. You know what I mean?
I think it's a combination of things. But like I
Yeah.
said, Gino himself isn't helping. But here's the kicker, though.
Yeah.
He's a veteran for
Okay.
one, and Pete,
Right.
as is Pete Carroll himself. But Pete
Right.
Carroll is standing by Gino. They don't really have
Okay.
better options, right? You talk about him
Mm,
wanting to come back in because he didn't want to lose his job. Are we sure it was just
mm.
Gino? Just like whatever happens, we can't let Pickett play. God damn it! Like it's nothing. It's more of an
Fair point.
institutional perspective rather than a personal one. um, and then, of
Fair
course, the
point.
other option is Aiden O'Connell, right? So Pete Carroll
Right.
and his sage wisdom is just like, season's probably a write off. Anyways, there's a ton of money
Right.
around here. I got a 3-year contract. Let's just let the chips
Mm,
fall where they may this year, because we don't have better options. And I know this guy, right? He's played for me
right.
before, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that Gino's going to stay in there and get a chance to work out and just come what may. They got
Yeah.
rid of their
y-
most senior wide receiver. So now it's exclusively rookies out there. I don't think the
Yeah.
expectations are that high. And I think Pete Carroll
Mm.
is just going to stand by his dude. And things will look better in 2026, hopefully, just like they
Yeah,
did in
I guess so.
2025.
I guess so, man, because just interesting to watch how these things evolve. If you've been watching our show since the start of the season, there's definitely been an emergence of the bust quarterback, and then there's a regression of the former bust to good quarterback. I'm gonna just quickly touch on two games, and I think Unc, you deserve this. I'm gonna put a little audible in the play again. The Steelers, and I know you're watching this game with a shocking, and I say shocking because you saw literally the steel curtain reemerge from the 80s to the damn 2025, and
Yeah.
they put a span. It was not this close, guys. The game was not this close. Indiana had basically lost the game very quickly. The Colts got beat 27-20 by the Colts. Sorry, by the Steelers. Unc, what are your quick hits, quick thoughts about this game, and how do you feel about your team and your quarterback balling out?
I felt great, man. That was a fun game to watch, right? And of course, this is
Right.
just after we'd like hummed and hawed, like, an hour beforehand talking about whether the Steelers D, right? What's going on, right? Sure enough, sure enough, here come the Steelers to make us look like complete idiots, right?
Straight
And
up.
I heard the announcer make the best comment in that game. It's like the Steelers are giving you the template of how to beat Daniel Jones in this potent Indianapolis Colts offense, right? Just take the ball
Mhm.
away.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds simple, right? But it certainly kept Indianapolis off the field. Like it really
Right.
did. So it was just
Right.
constant pressuring of Daniel Jones. So that produced interceptions, that produced fumbles, and that was the deciding factor in the game. And yeah, Rodgers and the offense executed. So that was great to
Yes.
see. Just great to see. Yeah.
It was a very interesting game because TJ Watt was on one. Everybody on the Colts defense was sorry, the Steelers defense was on one. It was a very serious game. And they were limited. I think they were the first team to really limit Jonathan Taylor because he did not
Yeah.
look as dominant. And you're thinking,
Mm.
damn, he should be go. No,
Nope.
stopped, slowed down, and getting Daniel Jones to have 3 picks. That's a regret. That's a Geno Smith level regression. You know what I mean?
Daniel Jones, we've all been missing and love and miss.
You know
uh,
what I mean?
But
Yeah.
anyway, about Jonathan. Now here's the next thing too. The other thing I was saying was, oh my God, here comes this kid Warren, right? These big
Warren.
rumbling,
Yes.
stumbling Tucker Craft type Mark
Okay.
Andrews type of tight ends, right? Who
Mhm.
receive and then just like the Steelers were sort of having a problem getting these guys to the ground once they had the ball in their hands, tackling it basically, right? But
Right.
Jalen Ramsey really came through again after we just dissed the guy on this show, right? Jalen Ramsey comes in and it stops Tyler Warren like by doing exactly that.
Yep.
Like he nullified the one thing I said publicly on air was going to be a vulnerability for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they shut it all down. It's great. It's
And
awesome.
the yeah, I know you were smiling ear to ear. I know you was, man. I'm
Yeah,
happy
dude.
for you because this is a huge impactful win, and it might affect my top five, but we'll talk about that a bit later.
I
Go
came
ahead.
in. I came into last week with all kinds of trepidation, right? Because this is how I approach it.
Right.
I'm always realistic about my team, but yet I still
Right.
always go in fingers crossed, right? Because I've seen it so many times where they've won where they should not have, right? So
Right.
and with that defense, like you're always in the game, right? It's
Yes.
always possible, right? But here we are, go rolling up against this juggernaut. Here comes Indianapolis, right? But I just felt in
Yes.
my bones, right, that like this could be a bad game. But instead, it was the opposite.
It
Steelers,
went the
and that's
opposite
why I
way.
love that franchise, right? That's why I love that franchise. Is
Yeah.
defense is always on the table with that team.
I'm telling you, man, defense wins championship. Ask this team, the Bengals, how they feel about defense. What?
Well, they've watched many
Unk.
teams win championships, so yeah, they should know.
They they've watched them. They watched their own division win a lot of championships, and they still can't figure out how to do something called wrapping and then putting somebody on the ground. That's called the tackle. I don't think they've ever figured that thing out up there in Cincinnati because they had won this game. Just to make it clear, if y'all watch that game, and I wasn't on watching it on Red Zone. I was actually in a sports bar, and the bar went crazy. I think I was texting Unc about it.
Yeah, we were
Chicago
texting.
Bears, yeah. Chicago Bears with a 47-42 come from behind. Yes, victory. I think something crazy like 20 something points were scored in the last 2 minutes. Absolutely nuts. Unc, what were your thoughts about this wild, insane game?
Just wildly entertaining, right? I mean,
Facts.
this is what we were saying in the text is like, this is why you get Flacco, right? Like he's like the man for the
Yeah,
job in the Cincinnati system. And
right.
that, yeah, like both teams have, defensive issues. So this was inevitable. And of course, the NFL being the NFL, um,
Mhm.
this is one of these times where it's funny. It was like garbage time touchdowns, but it was happening in this really compressed space in a competitive game
Yeah,
because these were
yeah.
like ridiculous, just ridiculous catches. And oh my goodness, but it's so entertaining. But Caleb
Mhm.
came through in the end. Like the
He
right
did.
team won. The right team won. Chicago was overall playing the better game if you had to assign it to somebody. And I was happy for Caleb that he came through. I think that was an important building block for him to win a game like that against a savvy veteran like Flacco. Like I think
Yeah.
that's good for the Bears all around to get that win.
Absolutely. It was huge for the Bears. We're gonna talk about fantasy pretty soon, but I think this Loveland, that tight end character, I think that him and Caleb are simpatico now. They're getting in some kind
Yeah,
of relation. We'll touch on the AFC West a bit later when we talk about our top five. I'm just gonna scratch off that topic. But
right.
when we talk about fantasy, man, whoever had anybody on that team in fantasy, unless you had Odunze, like I did.
Oh my God. What the hell went on with that? Like shit.
Brother, you have
In a
no
game where
idea.
in a game where
For
47
everybody.
points are scored, your wide receiver one somehow is shut out. I mean, Loveland, we've been waiting for Loveland to emerge. He's another one of these big body wide receiver type tight ends like
Right,
Warren and Tucker Kraft and Mark Andrews, them. It's that prototype, right? And
right.
so kind of, been waiting for that, right? But that last touchdown that he scored was just poetic, right? Got him over the middle,
Poetic.
cleared the
Yes,
secondary, and just rumble and stumble in a straight line into the end zone. It was very poetic to watch. I'm happy for that kid, but
absolutely.
I just it's so inconceivable to me that an alpha wide receiver who is not injured.
Not at all. Not one injury.
Yeah,
But I'll say this. This is the thing about fantasy, man. You can't control what these offensive schemes are doing. You can't control
no,
what's going on. Maybe Odunze took the under on himself on some betting site and decided
Yeah,
to cash
don't even
out. I don't
say
know
that.
what.
But because yeah, it's not like Cincinnati possesses a lockdown corner like Patrick Surtain Jr. or one of these guys, right? You know what I mean? Like where they just, every alpha has a bad day against a guy like that. Like,
Nah,
Cincinnati ain't got one of those.
not one. But Unc, when we're talking about fantasy starts and sits, I think a lot of Adunze owners might have rage quit. But who is a start and sit that we might need to look out for from all positions, Unc? What do you think we should be looking out for? Because we passed the midway, maybe some playoff prep, maybe some looking in the future forecasting. What do you think, Unc? Let us know.
My first start,
Mm.
Romo Dunze, because
Oh,
you know,
go
we've
ahead.
talked about how wide receivers have bizarrely random sort of on off again weeks, right? Like,
Right.
so my guess is that they make up. They consciously make up for what happened to Odunze last week. I think he gets peppered with targets this week against I think it's the Giants they're playing, and
Yeah, we're playing the Giants.
I think Odunze, like anybody who like is rage quitting Odunze, will regret it this week. I'm sure, just because
Oh,
that's just the NFL, man. That's just fantasy. That's why we
shit.
play. It's why we keep
Fair
playing year
boys.
after year. Yeah, yeah. But okay,
Yeah.
so we all know that my best harbinger of success with fantasy week to week is often to target games that like you just know a lot of points are going to be scored. And if you
Yes, sir.
have, if you've got productive players that are on those teams, like prioritize them, right? So games that look to me like they're going to have a lot of points is Eagles Packers is actually only predicted like 45 is your over under on that, but I have a feeling Eagles
Okay.
Packers is going to be an air show today. I think there's going to be a
Mhm.
lot of offense scored in that game. The other obvious one, Lions at Commanders, right? So play
Of
all your
course.
Lions skill players. The only one on the Commanders I would feel even remotely comfortable playing today would be Zach Ertz, because he's the obvious outlet for Mariota, and he's been having a surprisingly good year. He's actually got about 3 or 4 weeks where he's had like 10, 12, 13 points, right? So
Oh,
Zach Ertz is getting the ball thrown to him.
okay.
Buffalo at Miami. Start all your Buffalo skill players. Miami,
Right.
outside of Devin Achan, like, ugh. But Achan should actually do very well today. The other one I
Okay.
like is LA San Francisco, even though some people say that should be a more defensive game. Better say it's going to be the 49 is the over under on that one. So better seem to think there's going to be a lot of points scored in that one. And if the
Mhm.
last occasion was any indication, there were a lot of fireworks in that LA San Francisco game. So skill players on LA, skill players on San Francisco. So there you're looking at what's his name, tight end there. Oh, San Francisco. I'm drawing a blank here.
Kittle. You're talking about
Kittle.
Kittle.
So you're looking at Kittle, you're
Yeah.
looking at McCaffrey, and the one wide receiver there, Jawan Jennings, should
Juwan
do
Jennings.
okay
Yep.
today. Possibly
Mhm.
the quarterback too. Purdy is out again, right? So we got Mac Jones in
Mac
there, and he
Jones.
hasn't
Yeah.
underperformed. Over
Right.
on the LA side, we got lots of good players in there from Kyron Williams, Stafford, who is again denying father
Oh,
time, right? He
oh,
just seems to get better and better.
oh, yes.
And
Oh, yeah.
right, and so and Puka is back. Devontae Adams has been just fantastic. So, like, yeah, that's what a game that's going to be. Again, alluding to
Oh,
our our NFC and AFC West paradigms. My goodness. So
such
I
a
like
game.
that. Cedric Tillman is back for Cleveland. So
Mm.
pay attention to that if you're a Cedric Tillman owner, because they're going up against the Jets today.
Oh,
Who knows what's going to happen with those Jets today? But I do like Stafford, as I mentioned. I
right.
like Herbert, unfortunately. The Mayfield show in Tampa Bay, both of those quarterbacks are going to eat today. I'm sure of that. And I
Oh,
like
yeah.
Caleb, as I mentioned, in going out against the Giants.
Mm.
And let's see here at running back. Dowdle against New Orleans today. That might be a big
Oh,
one. DeAndre Swift seems to be over his niggling groin issues, and he will be playing against the Giants, so that should be good. For sits, you have to be afraid of ETN going up against Houston. That's a little bit weird, but I mean, if
mm,
he's your starter, you got to go with him. Brees Hall also like probably will not have a friendly day going up against that Cleveland defense.
Sick,
Bill
yeah.
Merritt, McCroskey
Mm,
Merritt going up against Detroit. Yikes, look out. Ouch. Ramondre Stevens is out in going up against for New England today. And Rashard White going up against New England today. I'm not really crazy about that. Chase Brown, of course, is on a bye. Tony Pollard's
right.
also on a bye. Starts that look good. Mason going against Baltimore. Probably looking good.
Yes, Mason Taylor. Yeah.
Right? Monangai might also be viable in that Chicago offense with DeAndre Swift. He's been showing signs of life.
Mm,
At wide receiver, I like the Chargers today, again, going against my Steelers. I have a feeling that this game, rather than being defensive, is going to be the opposite. So
mm,
Keenan Allen, Quinton Johnson, I like them. As I mentioned, Odunze, Devontae, and AJ, probably both going to have good games today. I also like Wandale Robinson for the Giants. Just have a feeling that's going to be a stupid,
mm.
high-scoring game. And Garrett Wilson, as I mentioned earlier, is back for the New York Jets. And they're going to be starting Adonai Mitchell today, most likely, too, right? So, Garrett Wilson might find himself with even more room to operate. Ricky Pearsall's out. Brian Taylor Johnson's out. Travis Henry's out. Let's see here. Those ones for sure take note of. Let's see here. Golden's also out, and Calvin Ridley. Tight ends that are out, Kraft. Hunter Henry looks like he's going to have a good game today. Hunter Henry looks like a must start at tight end. Also Gadsden, and if you're looking for help because you've got Kraft out, Juwan Johnson in that game against Carolina today for New Orleans looks like a good placement if you're looking for a plug and play at tight end. He's available on most waiver wires.
Nice.
So yeah, that's what I'm sort of looking at right there. Yeah, that's my fantasy starts and sits.
Nice, nice. I like that list. I like that list. I'm telling you, man, divisional matchups are always interesting. That Rams Niners game, everybody get them active, bro.
I
Get
think
them
that's a
active
game of the
because
week, man. Like I think that
that
game is going to be
mm,
off the hook.
it's gonna be off the chain. And actually, that's that's a great thing that you say that because it's time for our lines and spreads, man. If you want to
Yeah,
start with
dude.
that game,
Let's go.
I would. That's perfect timing, bro. You got the transition for me. So, my
Sam,
man,
Sam,
what do you think of that Rams Niners game? That looks really good too, man. Yeah.
Sammy Segway. Um,
Yes, sir. Mhm.
Rams and Niners. Let's see here. So the LA Rams are traveling to San Francisco and are favored by 5.5 points with a 49 and a
Let's
half
move
point
to
over
six.
and under.
It's
So
moved
five
to
and a
six
half,
now. Yeah,
five.
the
So
line is moved to six.
it's up
It's
to
moved to
six,
six
right?
now. Yeah, six
Yeah.
now. Yeah,
So
yeah.
the bettors feel like I do that LA is that much better than San Francisco. As we mentioned, San Francisco has really sort of profiled as more like a 500 team this year, despite their winning record. They're
Yeah.
6-3, but against the spread, they're not impressive. LA Rams, on the other hand, are. And so I'm going to go with the Rams to cover that 6 points now. And
Ooh.
I'm going to go with the under, believe it or not. Because both teams
Ooh.
have reasonable defenses, but LA has a really good defense. So I'm going to question San Francisco's ability to score enough points to make that over under go, unless LA just blows them out like 30, 35-20 or something like that. But even then, that's that's
Yeah.
barely over the. So, anyways, yeah. I just think LA wins today, and I think they win dominant on the road, and they cover that 6 points.
Nice, nice, nice. That's a good pick. How's I know you're biased. I know you already. That Steelers Chargers game looks good too. Based on what I saw
Yeah,
last week from the Chargers and the Steelers, should
especially
be
what we saw
fun.
last week. Yeah.
Oh, we got the Chargers favored by 2.5. I think I might even go on the under here because they're giving 44.5 for the over under. But I think it's gonna be I don't know if the Chargers cover that. I don't know if they cover that. If the same defense shows up, they're not gonna cover that. I might have the Steelers on
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm taking the Steelers obviously because I always do. But at only 2.5, 3 points, actually, I feel pretty good about it this time around. Because the
Yeah.
Chargers have not
No,
been
they
perfect.
are.
Chargers have not been perfect, and if they can harass Justin Herbert just enough, and do what they did last week against Indy. Because Indy and the Chargers played earlier this year, did they not?
Yes, they did. India and the Chargers. I think Chargers might have won that game.
I
Let me
think the
check.
Chargers squeaked that out on the road, did they not?
Yeah, I think so. But I know that one of the Colts losses was against the. Yes, it was actually. No, the Colts lost. My mistake. Sorry, the Colts won. It was 28-24. The Colts won. My mistake. They did
Right.
win. The Chargers
So,
didn't.
so,
But it
so
was a
there you
high,
have.
it was explosive game. Yeah, it was an
So
explosive
there
game.
you have it. There you have it.
Right.
Right. Colts.
Mm,
Colts better than Chargers. So and
yes.
here comes
Oh,
and
that's
the
a
and the
good one, bro.
Steelers beat the Colts. So
Oh, I like how you
but
think. I like how you think.
by that Homer logic.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, of course, I'm going to take the Steelers, but I think Steelers actually have a legit chance of covering that today. That
Yeah.
being said, Chargers are at home, so but that
Mm.
also being said, the Chargers' home is
Yes.
not like say the Steelers' home, right?
It's gonna be a ton of Steeler. Yeah,
There
Steeler
might
fans
be
up
more
in there.
Steelers in
Yeah.
LA than there are
Yes.
Chargers fans.
There'll be a lot of terrible towels in that stadium. That's a fact. So it might feel like a home game for the
That's right.
Steelers. I'm not playing.
Wouldn't be
Just
the
one.
first time.
Yes, sir. How about the Eagles Packers right now? This is putting 1 point on the Packers. I'm surprised the Packers are favored on this.
Me
Just
too.
1 point for them. And over on this 45. You're right, man. I feel you on your instinct about an offensive explosion. I gotta go on the over on that. I think
Yeah,
a lot of points are gonna be scored on this game, bro. You know what I
that's
mean?
what I have. I've got the over, and I got Philly. Philly's on the
Oh,
road, but
nice.
at a
Yeah,
point and a half, I'm feeling Green Bay. Green Bay's shown us some good stuff lately. I think
yes,
this is
they
the
have.
week that they take a step back against what is probably a superior defense.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any other games that interest you or something that you want to see or you find, hey, maybe something cool is going on here? You know what I mean?
Right? The Arizona Seattle game I find is super intriguing, right? Because
Nice.
it's
Yep.
7 points,
Division.
right? 7 points,
Mhm.
right? For division rivalry. Seattle is at home, but 7 points, I probably would have felt more comfortable with 4.5, maybe something like that, because it allows for the two field goal win scenario. But to say that
Right.
Arizona loses by more than a touchdown, right? Because it's at 7 right now, I think. Was that the point
Yes,
spread you're
exactly.
showing?
Yep, it's exactly at 7 right
Right?
here on the screen. Yep. Hmm.
Seattle has been outstanding against the spread this year, right? 6-2. But
Hmm.
so is Arizona. Arizona's 5-3 against the spread. And so
Oh.
I find this game completely intriguing and flummoxing just because of that. But I'm going with Seattle because 6-2 is better
Oh.
than 5-3, and they're at
Okay.
home and they have been putting up points. And Arizona sometimes has been putting up points, sometimes hasn't. I'm not comfortable with the pick, but I am going with Seattle, and it's especially uncomfortable because I'm also going with the under. These are two good
Oh, you're going
defenses.
under.
These
Okay.
are two
I
good
mean, yeah,
defenses.
there could be a situation where it's gonna be maybe like a 24 to like 14 game or something like that. That
It's
may
good
that's
for
still pretty
that.
low by NFL standards, you know what I mean? Yeah,
Right. So that means at
yeah.
24-14 or 24-10, like that's a solid beatdown, right? But it's
That
going
is
to
a
have
big
to be like that for them to cover the
yeah,
7 and go under. But I think Seattle's up for it at home. And they've got a new
absolutely.
receiver. They've got a new
Hey,
receiver
hey,
who takes some of the
Rashid
pressure off
Shaheed.
JSN.
Yeah, JSN, by the way, fantasy managers for him are probably smiling near the
Oh,
ear.
they
He's
love
gonna have
him.
if he stays healthy, he's gonna break some records. He's gonna have some record stats, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is now Shaheed, though, from that trade from New Orleans is there. Like his
Right.
volume might ease off a little bit, but maybe not, right? Donald says he's the best guy in the NFL, so we'll find out. But now
Oh,
he's gonna be able to operate with even more space available to him with Shaheed in there. You're
mm.
gonna have to account for Shaheed, or he's gonna beat you.
Oh, that's a fact. One game that I find interesting that I think we should talk about before we move to our top five. This Patriots Buccaneers game, man. I'm telling you, quiet is kept. The Pats are 7-2, Bucks 6-2. Bucks are somehow favored. I don't know why.
Big
They
game,
gave them 2.5. Big game. I'm assuming it's because they're playing in Tampa, so they're giving them that home
right?
field advantage. The over under is 48.5. I don't know, man. I might have to pump that over, but hey, man.
That's what I've got.
Pats don't have Stevenson. They don't have Butte. Maybe an under. I don't know.
This,
I need your
yeah,
wisdom.
none
Talk
of
to
us
me.
do. None of us do, which is of course what makes all of this so exciting. Now, this is another game that I did have circled for the same reasons I had the AZ Seattle game circled. That is, again, it's a very intriguing game in Tampa Bay. Two offenses firing on, if not all cylinders. They've both been very productive.
Right.
Small point spread, only 2.5 points, right? And Tampa Bay at home, right? So that's basically like saying bettors are saying it's really like like they're favored by 1 point type of thing, right? Because that home bias is about 1.5 to 2 points, and the over under being 48. So it also implies that it's going to be a very close game with a lot of offense. So yeah, good looking game. Now here's the thing that makes it so intriguing: New England is 6-3 against the spread this year, very reliable. But Tampa Bay's
Oh,
been 5-3. Tampa Bay's 5-3 against the spread. So, like,
oh,
figuring out who to take in this game, my goodness. But I feel like New England has something going on up there. I think they're going to go on the
mm,
road down there, and they're going to entertain all their Floridian fans that live down there. And they're going to go into Tampa Bay, and they're going to beat them, and they're going to cover that 2.5 point spread. Maybe they
nice.
lose. Maybe they lose by a point or two, but I still think that they cover that spread. And I think, I'm smashing that over button. I think this game's got 34-30 written all over it.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I might have to smash that over button too, because I know one thing about the Bucks. It doesn't matter who's there; they're gonna put up some points, man. They're
Because
gonna
they
put
have
up.
to.
They're gonna put up a lot of points. They don't care who is coming in that stadium. They putting up some points, bro.
Because they got to put up points, man. Like, because their defense
Yeah.
has been injured this
Ooh.
year.
We got to talk about we're going to talk about the MVP race probably next week. I think that'd be more appropriate.
Right.
Obviously, I'm slowly joining the Drake May campaign. I've been on the
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor campaign. We got to put that old man Stafford in this campaign too, depending what he does today, because
Yeah.
Puka Nakua, Devontae Adams are insane. They're absolutely smooth. And I'm telling you something about the Rams. Spoiler alert, they're gonna appear pretty high on my top five list. But Unc, do you want to go ahead and give us your
Yeah.
power rankings going into week number 10, man? What are your top five teams and why? Do you even have any honorable mentions maybe you can talk about? And let us know, man. Talk to the people, man. You know what I mean? Mhm.
Nah, I'm pretty convinced that the honorable mentions are going to be teams like San Francisco and Tampa Bay. And as we've indicated, that their points for, points against makes me feel like they're kind of on creaky floorboards.
Yeah.
So whereas my top five, I'm confident in each of these teams. I believe that every one of them should be in the top five to the exclusion of others. So
Yes,
where
sir.
my questions lay
Mm.
is evaluating these records on these performances, given that some have had their bye weeks, some have not, some have played an extra game because of Thursday night this week, etc. So the Indy again, right? They look like they should be number one, but they're not this week. I have a new number one, so I'll go through them for you. Where my debate was between the Pats, Seattle, and LA. Who lies where? Seattle and
Mhm.
LA are almost identical teams. They have
Yeah.
almost identical points for, points against. They do have identical winning records. And when I say identical points for and points against, I mean almost identical. One's 81, the other's like 82. And they have the
Yes,
same
sir.
wins and loss records. But I think Seattle beat LA, like they hold a tiebreaker. But
Yes,
I
sir.
think LA is a better team than Seattle, just because they have the better
Oh,
defense. And
no.
the
Mm,
Stafford factor. When push comes to shove, Stafford is a
mm.
better quarterback than Darnold.
Yes, he is.
Um,
Yes, he
and
is.
also too, also too, I think that LA has a better running game with Kyron Williams than Kenny Walker III. So
Yes, sir.
I'm going to rank it like this: Patriots at 7-2. I decided to
Mm,
shuffle them at the last second and put them to number 3. So I have Seattle at number 5, LA at number 4, and the Pats at number 3. Then I've
mm.
got Indy at 7-2, because the Broncos at 8-2, even though they have one more game, 8-2 is still
Yeah.
better than 7-2. Now, you could
Mm,
easily argue that with that extra game and the Broncos only at being plus minus, like they're plus 62 in the points for, points against, you could easily make an argument that they should be back there with the Patriots, right? 7-2 and plus
but
68. That that the Pats are even better because they've got more points for they've got more better points for and against number with fewer games than the Broncos. So you can make that argument, but I'm sorry.
right.
I love the Broncos D. I think 8-2 speaks for itself. However close their games might be, I think the Broncos have a winning formula on offense, and they've got
Yeah.
the best defense in the league. So to me, that's a formula for being the number one team in the league. Indy's a very close second, but we saw the breakdown on defense last week, so that
Oh
dislodges them to
yeah.
number two. And then, like I say, you've got LA, Seattle, and then the Patriots, LA, then Seattle. So there's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from me.
Hey man, you know it's crazy. Great minds think alike because we have the exact same teams in our top five. I just
Get
shuffled
out.
it. Yeah, I'm not
Ah,
playing. The exact same teams, just a little bit shuffled, and I'll explain
well,
my rationale
and
why.
I told you how easily I could shuffle them one way or the other also. So that makes sense.
Oh yeah. One thing that I'm find interesting about this season, you don't have one super dominant team. You know
No,
what I'm saying? Like every season, you have maybe one team, and for a lot of seasons, it was the Chiefs, right? Let's keep it real. And last season, it was clearly the Eagles. But you don't have
or
one team
Detroit.
who's just like sawing every single. You know what I mean? You have a lot of pretty good teams, very good teams, and then you have garbage. You know what I mean? It's like
That's
the
right.
drop off is very severe, but there's an elite group that's very very filled in that club. You know what
Well,
I'm saying?
I think that's
So
accurate. I think there's about 8 teams that are
yes,
significantly better than the rest. And then there's
yeah,
within those other 24 teams, there's about eight that are just they got separation of their own kind, but it's not a good kind. It's like they're really bad.
real
But
talk.
then there's that middle tier of about 15 teams, 16 teams that are like, yeah, they're all just sort of 500-ish, right? Or just below or just above, right? Just a lot of mediocrity. But within that mediocrity, I hate using that word sometimes unless I really intend to use it because mediocrity
Yes,
makes it sound like it's no good. But like 4-5 or 5-4 in the NFL,
yeah.
like there's hope, right? Like
There's
that's not
there's hope.
bad. There's not
Right.
bad, but you're right. There's about 6 or 8 teams at the top that are showing themselves to be significantly better than the rest.
And you know what? That's why it's kind of hard. That's why I like the power ranking conversation because it opens up a conversation about quality teams and what's going on in the league. And that's why I wanted to really talk about the NFC West. Pretty much, you have three teams that are 6-2 or 6-3. You have offenses that are explosive. I think this is going to be a very fun month of football because they're going to face each other multiple times. And even going into December, where you have my number 5 team is the Seattle Seahawks. This was hard for me too because
Yeah,
I had them. I was thinking higher, maybe sometimes lower. But you're right; they're literally identical to the Rams in terms of record. Both 6-2. The your points for, points against. That difference you hit it on the button. 81 points, 81 for the Seahawks, 82 for the Rams. But there's a little nuance in here, and I want to mention it. The Rams are an undefeated team if it's not for a last minute kick by the Niners and a fluke interception, blocked field goal return to the other side by the Eagles. That's why I had my
right.
Seahawks coming. Sorry, I had the Rams up higher. So we started with Seahawks at 5. That defense is epic. I got the Patriots at number 4. Pats killing it. That offense, the defense, Broncos at 3 this time, actually. I know it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird, but I'm not reassured by the quality of their wins. In other words, them beating the Raiders wasn't that convincing to me because I know the Rams would destroy the Raiders. I know the Colts would destroy the Raiders, and they have.
Yeah.
The Colts have destroyed the Raiders. That's why I have Rams at number 2 because the LA Rams, when they have to face competition, they meet them where they are. and they actually beat them convincingly. A lot
They
of people.
rise above.
Oh yes, I have Rams above the Broncos, man. And then my number one team, I even in a loss, I still have the Colts number one, just for the amount of work they've done and just their tapes overall. I was really debating Colts versus Rams for number one, but I still think I have the Colts slightly above.
Well, look at it this week. I
Yeah,
mean, here to just to assist your argument, right? You got
yeah,
to
go
admit,
ahead. Yeah.
Colts are better this week than they were last week, with the
Oh,
addition of Sauce Gardner.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I think the Colts, if everything goes right, I think the Colts are going to the Super Bowl. Honestly, I'm being real with you. They
Mm-hmm.
might meet the Rams unless the Chiefs go insane. The Chiefs are just a wild card over there. But
Yeah, that's right.
in the AFC, it's very open, man. More open than I've seen in a long time. In the NFC, man, it's very hard to not see an NFC West team come out. Unc, what's your quick hits about this NFC uh West? What's going on with that division? Have you seen them that good? I haven't seen a division this challenging and nice, man.
Yeah, no, well, it's funny because your notes came across as
Mm.
saying indicating the AFC West,
Oh, my mistake.
which has been
Yeah,
traditionally the topic that you and I have always talked about, what a madhouse the AFC West has been, and it's always been that way, right? And it's always
fair
fun
play.
like that. But
Actually, ironically, both an NFC and AFC West, but I meant NFC West. My
because
mistake.
you could make an argument about the AFC West. You could,
Yes, I
right?
can. Yep.
Being it
Mhm.
being typical, but I knew you meant the NFC West because we've already
Thank
talked
you.
about this off notes, right? Because
Yeah,
my response to the question, AFC West is best division in football, and I'm like, no, not at all. Although Denver might have the best defense in the NFL, but you could
yeah,
make an argument for the NFC West. My goodness, right? Because
right.
I did a breakdown, same like we do with teams, right?
Right.
Like there are 21 wins in that division against only 12 losses, and that is significantly different than anyone. The next best competitor after that has 19 wins, but I think there's like 15 losses, right? And I
Wow.
think that might be the NFC East. I'm not sure, but
Right.
anyways, yeah. And now that other division actually has more points scored, but they have a lot more
Mhm.
points scored against them, right? So the
Right.
difference is only about 100 points, whereas the AFC West versus or pardon me, the NFC West versus the AFC West, the difference between the points scored, 814 points scored by that division versus only 635 scored against. And that's a function of four out of four teams being able to play defense. Like Arizona
Yes.
actually has less
Yes.
points scored against them than San Francisco does. Right? So
Really?
yeah,
Oh,
top to bottom. Yeah. No, seriously,
wow.
San Francisco has 188 points scored against, and Arizona only has 171, right? It's two
Yes,
points a
you're
game
right,
less,
actually. Facts
right?
check. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely
And
right.
they're
It's right here on
and they're at
screen.
3-5. So
Wow.
and they have a
Wow.
positive 4 points against differential, as we noted earlier on in the podcast. So Arizona, as the
Right.
team bringing up the rear at 3-5, is better than probably half the teams in the NFL. So that just goes to show
Yes.
you
Yes.
how solid this division is. Right.
Wow.
So, of course, with both Seattle and LA, as we just previously noted, having outstanding defenses. Right.
Yeah.
So that's super encouraging. It's just such a fun division to watch. Those games are super competitive, and they're always in the afternoon most of the time too. They play the 4 o'clock window a lot, that NFC West, and so you get these
Yeah.
rivalry games going on at the end of the day, and it's just it's amazing because between San Francisco, LA,
Mm.
the LA Rams, Seattle, and that what do you want to call it? That spiky little Arizona team, right?
Yeah.
They're just
They're
nervy,
always
right?
in the mix. Yeah.
I'm telling you, that division is quality.
Oh yes. Oh yes. I'm telling you that division is high quality. I really want to see how it ends at the end of the season because they're all gonna have to beat each other up. But I
Yeah,
think we're gonna watch some entertaining football because, like you said, they are extremely balanced, and that's why we look at the points for, points against metric. That differential lets you know how balanced the team is. You know what I
right.
mean? Because you'll
Exactly.
have a team that's on record. Oh, this is a really good team. Oh, Buffalo Bills is 6-2. Their plus minus is pretty good, but you have to understand that that tells you what kind of quality their team is. Baltimore Ravens. Plus minus is pretty bad. But then guess what? Lamar's back. That's going to change. But when you look at literally the whole NFC West, all of them are in positive plus minuses. All of them.
All four
Meaning
teams.
all four teams are competitive in each game and have a balance of offense and defense. And
Yeah.
that's how you win long term in football, bro. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So I'll call it right now. I'll call it right now, and I'll say the LA Rams prevail in that division. And
Oh, good
yeah,
call.
well, Darnold, for all his improvement, is still a little,
Yeah,
he's no Matt Stafford. Matt
that's
Stafford
a
has,
fact.
if it's happened in the game of football, Matt Stafford has witnessed it.
Oh, straight up. This man he's up there with Aaron Rodgers for some of the most seasons in the league. I think he came out
Well,
like 2009. We're touching 2026 soon. You know?
yeah. Yeah, I think this is his 17th season, so it might even be 2008. So yeah, you got to like you got with Matt Stafford. It's really quite. People forget that he started off in Detroit, right? I mean,
Straight up.
like it was so long ago. But
Yeah.
actually, Bomani Jones and Dominique Foxworth were chopping it up this week when it came to Matt Stafford, and they were talking about the learning curve of young quarterbacks. And they were talking about Matt Stafford. They were saying the same thing that we often say, that you realistically have to give quarterbacks 4 or 5 years to really develop. And they were talking about how Stafford, of course, had that, but his 4 or 5 years ago was so far in the rear view mirror that like it hardly seems relevant anymore. And they started talking about how Matt Stafford has had multiple arcs of improvement in that long
Yeah.
period of time, over
Yes,
17
yeah,
years, where he's
yeah,
had peaks and valleys. But if you look at the overall trajectory of his arc, it might be wobbly like this instead of like that. But if you
yes,
look at it, it's like he keeps each time he elevates when he comes out of another learning curve. And he's been doing
yeah.
this for 17 seasons. The man is just, I don't think I can think of another quarterback other than Warren Moon who has had such a long
Mm,
career. Maybe Doug
right.
Flutie. But again, they played in multiple leagues, those guys. This guy's been killing it in the NFL since day one for 17 seasons.
I want to give also this credit to Stafford. When he just throws a full, it looks beautiful, bro. Like the spin on it and just the accuracy. Like he is, it's crazy, man. I like
And,
stories like this
and,
late
and it's never
career.
too hard.
Yes, it's like you look at Devontae Adams. He's happy, smiling ear to ear every time he gets that football from Stafford. And I have a thing that I think that happened. Remember earlier this season, there was a rumor that Stafford had a back issue or something, so he didn't
Right.
play.
Yep.
Participate in a lot of preseason work. I think that was bullshit, man. I think they lied. I think they
he was
lied in order
he,
for
he
strategic
was he
advantage.
was
I think
he
so.
was he was
Yeah.
just up at his lake house with his feet cooked up, going like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'll see you guys after Labor Day. And he's got
Yeah, I
every
see how
right,
he
and
was.
he has every right to do that as long as he is
Oh,
physically fit. That is the only thing in question. 'Cause-
absolutely. One last thing before we head out. The Broncos as your number one team, I understand it. I understand it for this simple fact. That defense, like you said, the domination that they had on the Raiders. That's why the game was like, I was like, oh, this should be like a 34 to like 10 game, 7 game, or whatever. It was,
Inexplicable how they
it
did
made
not score more points.
it made zero sense, brother. But the Broncos shut it down.
I
They were
think
stacking Gino. They were basically getting picks. They dropped some interceptions too. I
yeah.
was like,
I,
yo,
I
you know what
think
I mean?
I think the next challenge is this for the Broncos. I think what the
Yeah.
Broncos are going through right now is that stage of an ascendant team where they're still playing down to their competition, right?
Right.
Or they play
Right.
up to their competition as is necessary. They're not quite at that point yet where they're just banging out consistent every week, like say Detroit, even though Detroit has more losses, right? But you see with Detroit, it's like when Detroit's game is on and they're playing their game, like it's just
Yeah.
bang, 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 point after point, right? They're just doing it, right? Where the Broncos are prevailing, but they're not blowing anybody out because they're still working out the kinks in that offense.
And you know how what's crazy? They're working on their Kings on a 7 game winning streak. Yes, they have
Yeah,
won 7 games in a row, bro. Because they started 0-2.
they're getting it done, but they're playing down to their competition when they like that
Yeah.
Tennessee game, for example, is the classic example.
Right, right. I am, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate everybody for tapping in, man. It's been a great show. Unk and Fuel going into week 10.
Yes,
Let's get
I.
it, family. Yes, sir. Deuces, y'all. Appreciate y'all.
One love, everybody. Have a safe week and enjoy your football.
Yes, sir. Oh, man. And we are